I'm going to share with you some thoughts from the books of Paul Brunton about the short path and the long path, the path of the ant and the path of the bird. This is not a new idea of these two paths. So I hope that Paul Brunton's way of understanding them is helpful to you. Paul Brunton was one of the great spiritual teachers of the 20th century, and his teaching was in the form of writing books. Many spiritual seekers were profoundly affected by reading his books. He considered himself a researcher, and he went around to different spiritual teachers and groups, and he observed what was working and what was not working. So in his ideas we have a synthesis that is the result of his personal experience and observation. So a person who is enlightened or who is a sage lives in the divine sacred presence, and it is not different from that person. For most of us, divinity is something we experience on occasion, or it is something we hope for. So for the sage, there is no separation, but for us, there is. The paradox of life is that in our true nature, we are also this divine, sacred life, but in daily life we feel separate from it. The spiritual path is the process of regaining this divinity that we have paradoxically never lost. Paul Brunton divides this path into two. Both paths are necessary. The long path is the path of development, purification, refinement, self-correction. One is removing the obstacles that get in the way, and one is also developing the personality so that it can be of service to the divine. We are creating a vessel that can serve the divine in the best way through the work of the long path. The danger or the limitation of the long path is that we can become preoccupied with fixing and improving ourselves because it is concerned with the ego. So while the long path is necessary, it cannot bring us to the sacred. On the other hand, the qualities developed on the long path are necessary for the short path. For example, the ability to concentrate and to be an ethical person. The short path directs our attention to the goal. It is called short not because it takes less time, but because it is pointing to the end. The short path uses the power of imagination to invoke the state we hope to achieve, to set up a vibration that will draw down the grace and presence of the divine that we seek. P.B. calls this divine the overself, the part of God that is in you. In the short path, we act as if we are the overself.